Hello and thanks for staying with us. Welcome to Political Platform on Raypower FM. My name is Amechi Anakwe. We are here again. That's Adeba Bodorete Vetevant, Abulo Semwago, two of these. 1999, there's always issues around them in terms of relationship with their bosses, power sharing and all that. But it's not with Deputy Governor. Who nicknamed them? Spet, former governor of what state again, if you could recall?
Kano State.
No, there's someone that nicknamed the deputy governor spare tires. In reality, it appears that what they are not useful when the four tires of a vehicle are functional and in place. They only become useful when indeed one of the tires goes bad. And so a situation where a deputy governor is impeached or faces impeachment when his principal, the governor, for instance, defects from one party to the other and they refuse to do so. The case of Bayelsa is still fresh in our minds. They went for him till Governor Doyo Diri said, stop this, and he stopped. Not too long after that, the man dropped dead. Now, the fate of the Kano State deputy governor is one that is very topical. Yesterday, the Kano State House of Assembly raised impeachment proceedings against him. They listed all the sins he has committed, perhaps the ones he has also not committed. But at the end of it, or the base of it, is that he has refused to decamp with Abba Yusuf to the APC, and so they have come after him. Also with us this morning is Kula Adewale. Let's go into the issue of deputy governors, then we'll move to other areas. Adeba Bodore.
Thank you, Amishi, and good morning to my colleagues in the studio. And I say hello to our listeners, both on YouTube and those listening to us. See, if you go into history, the issue of impeachment of deputy governors started in 1981, and interestingly enough, in Kano State. The then deputy governor, Alhaji Bibi Farouk, now late, his son is a senior lecturer in
Yakubu Gowon
University, former University of Abuja, and he was impeached because there was factionalization within the People's Redemption Party. Then that was his offense, and with a speed, very, very fast. As a reporter, I covered that impeachment proceedings, and I know it's one of the fastest I've ever seen. The impeachment notice was tabled that very day. The chief judge of the state set up the panel, and within 3 days, a retired commissioner of police from Lagos State chaired the panel. Within 3 days was concluded. The report was sent back to the assembly, and before you can say 1, 2, 3, 4, within 4 days, the man was impeached. So since 1981, it has been so.
Okay.
It's even worse under this Fourth Republic. I can tell you that by my record, 19 deputy governors between 1999 and to date have been impeached. So if they impeach the current deputy governor of Kano State, it will be the 20th of deputy governors that have been impeached. And if you look at it, the trend is the same. It's either differences over political
alignment,
falling out of favor, or public disagreement over policies or issues. Look at the trend from Kogi to Bayelsa to Imo State to Ekiti State. In Ekiti State,
Lagos State, multiple times under the present president.
In Lagos State, Femi Pedro was impeached. In particular case of Ekiti and Imo, 2 deputy governors have been impeached so far between 1979 and to date. So you see the trend.
Under what's the name of that former governor of Imo? 2 of them were impeached.
Deputy
Rochas Tinubu impeached 2. Rochas impeached 2. Who has that record again?
Ekiti State too. Ekiti.
Under Fayose.
Aluko was impeached. They brought Biodology.
They have the record. The 3 of them.
They have the records. Continue. So critically, that is why, unfortunately, we have a National Assembly that is not doing the needful.
Okay.
They have been called that the functions of the deputy governor must be clearly defined. So
In
the
the
concept,
Constitution.
the concept of looking at them as spare tire,
Would that not present some problems?
It will not present some
Would there
problem.
be two pilots in a,
It will not present some problem. If you look
in
at
a ship?
If you look at the federal,
Or two captains?
if you look at the federal,
Yes.
the vice president is saddled with responsibility of economic management as chairman of the economic council, National Economic Council, which also include.
That is advisory. It's advisory.
Yeah,
it's not management. It's an advisory role.
He has a role. But in the case of deputy governor, nothing is assigned to them.
The vice president also chairs the National Council on Privatization. When we have privatized everything, what is labor? Kula, why is it always so that whenever they politically, it's always political disagreement, they disagree with the organ, they are gone.
Morning, Amici, and my colleagues, and to all our listeners and those who are joining us on YouTube. It is political, like you said, and unfortunately, we haven't found the time to sit down as a nation to examine what we want our deputy governors to do. Are they just there as spare tires, as they've been described by some people? Should they just be spare tires? In other climes, what do deputies do? Take, for instance, the vice president of the U.S. is also the chairman is the president of the Senate. He chairs the Senate, the vice president of the U.S. What do deputy governors do in Nigeria? They are only to do what the governors assign to them. Yet, they are necessary for anyone to run for the office of the governor. Because if you don't have a running mate, so if they are that essential, why ticket or you need to stand for election and then suddenly after election they become spare tires?
So quick explanation to that. Politics, once you emerge as the presidential candidate or governorship candidate, is the party or some other interest that will provide the deputy. It happened to Obasanjo. They will say, let me consult and let me reach out. It's not necessarily down to the principle. And when some other interests provide the deputy, you now view the person as not from directly your political camp, but from some other political camp within your party. So that apprehension is always there. Is it with me? Is it with them?
I understand all of that. And I will quickly respond this way. I have always said, and I will continue to say, that there has to be a difference between politics and governance. Once the elections have held, concluded, and the people have been sworn into office, politics must take a step back. There will always be politics, but governance must take the front row at that point. And why am I saying this? It is one of the critical things I think the National Assembly needs to look at in their next constitutional amendment project. If I don't think it can make this one to assign specific roles to deputy governors, because all of these things that arise, there are political conflicts. Now look at Kano. You want to remove the deputy governor because he did not decamp from the party that brought him to power to join the governor. That's completely political.
Abulo Semwagu, there are some governors that worked wonderfully well with their deputies, gave them extra responsibilities. They will give them commissioners, portfolio. Apart from a deputy governor, some of them made them commissioner for education, commissioner for works. Some of them do it. Rabbi Musa Kwankwaso trusted his deputy, Ganduje, to the extent that he gave him a lot of responsibilities and ensured that he succeeded him. Few of them allowed their deputies to succeed them. So why many of them view their deputies as perhaps someone waiting for him to die to take over his position? Few of them also empower them, have implicit confidence in them. And if in Zamfara state, it happened, of course, a deputy governor becoming a governor, succeeding his boss.
Amici, yeah, it's nice to be here once again. Good morning. This politics of spare tireism of the deputy governor that entered our lexicon, and it's not good for us. Describing a full-blown man or a full-blown woman as a spare tire, I think is derogatory, to say the least. This idea of a spare tire of deputy governor, if you watch very well the Nigerian economy and Nigerian politics, it has cascaded into communities, into associations, even into the cabinet. You remember when Festus Keyamo was ranting that Minister of State Minister of State have next to nothing to do until the SGF now gave some parastatals, some agencies to be under his purview. And so that is where we should go. In 1999, when democracy returned, there were issues until the Economic Council started, until there was a delineation of duties, and the article then headed the privatization. But you saw what happened. The fear in Africa, not only in Nigeria, is that if I overpower my assistant, he'll come and take over for me. Just like you have in drug cartels. In drug cartels, the boss is far up there. The next in command is down there. So that he will not come tomorrow and bamboozle him. You don't forget.
And begin to think he has become the president of the government.
Yes, although it's still very fresh in our minds. Those states is still very fresh in our minds. Philip Shaibu, when governors empower their deputies, there's always this aura around the deputy governor that I'm so confident.
Obasanjo entrusted Atiku Abubakar with so much. 1999 to 2003. Obasanjo left everything for him and was moving around, globetrotting, enjoying himself. They are rolling red rocks reception for him. He was enjoying himself as head of state, while Atiku, his deputy, was head of government. When it was close to the 2003 presidential election, Atiku became a possible candidate. And you know all that happened before then. Obasanjo learned from that. When he came back, there's this idea that he knelt down to beg Atiku to stop that, not to shake.
Rumor, call it
yes,
rumor.
Very strong rumor. Adebayo Abaro is aware of that. You see, there's that rumor that he had to bend down, kneel down, go on his knees to beg Atiku Abubakar, support me, don't go, so that, and he did, but immediately they succeeded. What did he do to him? He flung him out through the window.
You see, the system we have since 1999, even in the case of Obasanjo Obasanjo single-handedly picked Atiku as his running mate, who later became vice president. A meeting was going on in Jos to pick a running mate for Obasanjo.
There were like 3 candidates.
No, they zeroed in on the late Abubakar Rimi. Solomon Lar was on his way from Jos to Abuja to give the outcome of the meeting to Obasanjo. We were at Transcorp Hotel, myself and my colleague, Mark Amarere. And immediately we saw Atiku. So we rushed and greeted him. You look set for your swearing ceremony because he has
as governor.
As governor, you look set now for a swearing ceremony. Are you inviting us? He said, no, I may not be governor. I've just been nominated as running mate to General Olusegun Obasanjo. So we as reporters, we rushed back to the office to break that news, even when the official announcement has not been made. So you see a situation, even in Lagos, Tinubu, his first deputy, the woman, was forced on him. Then there was disagreement. And the woman was impeached. He single-handedly picked Femi Pedro because Femi Pedro played a critical role in his campaign. I can say for free now, because it's now history, that most of the commercials we ran for president, for the then governor,
yes,
Tinubu as candidate in Lagos, paid for by Pedro.
Pedro was in the financial services
sector. He was the bank
sector.
managing director, and I used to shuttle between our office in Alagbado to his office.
So to collect the information,
to collect the material,
declassified,
to collect the material and the money. Then money transfer then was so easy. In fact, when I go to collect money from him, I used to pray to God because it's cash then, and he was giving us. So I was not surprised when after Koforola Bokonakere was impeached, he picked Pedro. But himself, Pedro disagreed.
Is it towards the 2007? Pedro started dreaming of succeeding his boss, and he told him, "Wake up from your sleep.
My time has come, and I'm the one." But President Tinubu then, as governor, I don't think he has the love to make it succeed him was not there. And so that led to the process of being.
He brought in a chief of staff.
That it was impeached. So you can see, you can see the processes that take place. That even when they have the opportunity to unpick their running mate during the campaign, sooner than later, they fall apart.
Yes.
Even if, look at Rochas and Agbaso. Agbaso won the ticket of Abga.
Then it was like a placeholder, step down.
No, it was not a placeholder. Then Rochas negotiated. Don't forget the father was the PDP.
Yes.
Then he moved over to Abga. And what led, then another fresh convention took place.
Yes, because
Agbaso now became running mate. Yeah. But because of governance and all the rest, there was a rift. And what happened was his impeachment.
Same way there was a rift between the person that replaced Madumere, who was a personal assistant and like a conjoined twin with Rochas Okorocha. They were so together. In fact, he was virtually a member of the Rochas Okorocha family. So when he settled for him, we thought, oh, there will be no rift. But when it's politics, even siblings become daggers drawn. So once politics is concerned, friendship, familial bonds and linkages become secondary.
Indeed, good morning to you, good morning our listeners and viewers on YouTube. You see, you've just thrown up the issue, political interest. If you look at all of this, and the bottom line has always been, most times, the interest of having to succeed or rising above, and things like that. And in the case of Kano, what is the issue? The party, that is the NNPP, did their primaries, their congresses, that in November, December last year. And the governor, Yusuf, was not allowed, in their own estimation, to place local government and all of that. And the assumption then was that they were the ones who would become delegates to elect, who would get the candidate of the party and all of that. So when that happened, the governor became, seized of the fact that, look, what he's hearing within the camp about his possible replacement, was real. So he had to look for a political survivor, and which was why he defected and collected the broom. And the embattled deputy governor now was most likely, to be the one who will be favored,
the anointed candidate.
The candidate of the NNPP. So it's what is clear on what, because in this country we see where deputy governor was impeached because of raising a poultry farm. A poultry farm in Enugu State, remember? A poultry farm in his official.
You look for one excuse.
One excuse or the other. Like in this
you
case,
open your
and once you're
cupboard and be looking for one skeleton. If there's none there, they will buy one and put there. And shout, hey, come and see.
So, and if you look at it, in his own case, they are saying misappropriation of funds. They will definitely come up with the details, and then that he's not performing his role as deputy governor. And it's the fact that since the defection, he has not been seen in government house, he has not been attending executive council meetings, he has not been carrying out the function. So, and what the concern says is, in the estimation of the lawmakers, gross misconduct, is very vague. So, and it's almost fate accomplished, for him going by.
He's going
by what we have seen. So in deep politics, I think to a very large extent, they will always tell you, don't allow your loyalty to be tested. When your loyalty is tested in this way and manner, most times if you fail that test, the consequences are there. For the concern has, to a very large extent, given deputy governors some role. The deputy governors are the chairman of the State Boundary Commission, constitutionally, chairman of a planning commission, though most states don't even have them or set them up, and all of that. But that's why some even give their deputy governors, commissioners, and the rest. It's all about politics, the interest, and loyalty. If that loyalty is tested and you fail that loyalty test, the consequences can be as grave as what we are seeing.
So, very quickly, because our mails are here, You see SSG play the role of a deputy governor.
Yeah.
You see chief of staff outshine deputy governor in some states. Chief of staff, SSG, direct appointees of the governor, they are more comfortable with them than deputy governors. Is it because they are seeing their deputy as a man that will be, yes, without saying it, but deep down his mind, he knows that if anything happens to this man, I'm the biggest beneficiary.
They have, the truth of the matter is there are a lot of security and intelligence reports that they gather. You may just
fake or genuine.
Some may be genuine. You may just a slip of the tongue. That's why sometimes they will tell you even worse have ears. You may just be a friend, a friendly talk and all of that, and somebody will pick it. It may be misinterpretation.
Yes, absolutely.
Is it in Taraba State where the deputy governor was almost incapacitated? He's almost incapacitated. He's one aide in the deputy governor's office that it became a huge problem. As a why should an aide in the deputy governor be seen as be acting or carrying on the role of deputy? I'm not sure they have resolved that issue as well. So it's as serious as that. Sometimes most of the deputy governors, you see them reading newspapers. You see them just like Jonathan at the time.
The wife said, when they asked him what about Jonathan as vice president, he said, he's reading newspapers. And even that was there. Now he'll be scrolling through his phone.
And sometimes continually, when the governor is away, the deputy governor acts. Yes. But most times when they are leaving, some will not hand over.
They go with the power.
Buhari started when he was leaving. He handed over to Osibajo at some point 1 or 2 times. When the actions he took, his governor told him, look, be careful with this man. And we saw one
power.
He eventually picked the nomination form. So that is what okay. So it's a very serious matter.
Osibajo's case, when they gave him power, he acted in good faith, in national interest. But unfortunately for him, when they give you power, you think it's for national interest. You don't understand that in Nigerian politics, selfish personal group interest supersedes primordial interest supersedes national interest. The distinguished professor and senior advocate was busy taking actions to move Nigeria forward. Look at this one. Okay.
And you ask yourself, Shetima, how many times has he acted as president? And you technically, when the president is even
they said 21 days.
Yeah, when we get into 21 days,
Tinubu will come back on 20th day.
And we know that the ambitions are there.
Yes. Let's hear from you. The ladies are here with the males.
All right. Many thanks for joining us this morning. Welcome to the male segment on Political Platform. My name is Fumilayo Emopai.
And my name is Chidera Izuduye. Writing from Ogun State, Ania Fiong Untia says, so now the Kano State Deputy Governor has suddenly become a sinner because he has failed to defect to APC. Where is the right of freedom of association being the fundamental right of every citizen? What offense has the deputy governor committed that warrants his house to now move? That warrants the house to move for his impeachment. This similar thing happened to the late Bayelsa State governor, which he suffered unnecessary attacks until he suddenly died of mysterious death in his office. And this must stop going forward. People must be allowed to willingly belong to political parties of their choice without being attacked, impeached, or intimidated. I therefore call on the judiciary to rise and protect the fundamental rights of the citizen. Our democracy must not be allowed to die because of selfish politicians who want to hold on to power against the wishes of the people. And the National Assembly must equally enact new bills that protect the deputy governor. Stop the governor from using them as spare tires. We need a country where no man is oppressed, impeached, or attacked, irrespective of his or her political party.
Okay, Noble Collins from Abuja is writing us and he says, social media was flooded on Wednesday with reactions to the video clip of I don't know whether it is safe to say, repentant Yoruba Nation agitator, Sunday Igboho, who was a guest at Olubadan's Ramadan lecture. However, what made the video clip an interesting one to many was not necessarily seeing Mr. Igboho at the ceremony, but his attire, particularly his headgear, which was vividly APC branded. While many acknowledge the fact that Igboho is a free man and reserves the right to associate with whoever he deems okay, Others interpreted it as a shift from his Yoruba nation agitation, and some even expressed disappointment that after disappointment ends that he, after all, joined the cartel of politicians he once fought to let his people go. But while processing this in my head, I said, Mr. Igboho might actually be exhibiting wisdom and not cowardice, as it appears to his critics. Let's face it, his push for the Yoruba nation stemmed from a desire for better representation and opportunities for his people than they had in Nigeria as at the time of his secession demand. Now, given the current unfortunate configuration of Nigeria's government under the Yoruba man who eventually became the president, is it not understandable of Igboho might have felt that his goal has been met? Who in his right frame of mind would still be fighting for a thing he wanted just a portion of, but now has it in a whole?
And from Abuja, Emekamba says, your analysis yesterday was as apt as can be, as you dissected President Tinubu's nepotistic tendency since he became the president. We thought the former President Buhari, who put Nigeria on reverse mode and spent 8 years appointing his ethnic Fulani into positions of authority, was the father of nepotism. But we are witnessing President Tinubu take nepotism to a different, unprecedented new level. He's not only appointing people from his ethnic southwest into juicy positions, especially those that have to do with revenue collection. He is rubbing it in without qualms, removing people from other ethnic groups and replacing them with Yoruba people. I make bold to submit that this singular action of Mr. President shows that there is no love for this country, but tribe. Love for country of multiple ethnic groups is respect for federal character in appointments. How does one explain that Southeast region, comprising of 5 states, have 5 ministers, and a single state in the Southwest has 4 ministers? President Tinubu should, as a matter of urgency, have a rethink and revisit his appointments to reflect the federal character enshrined in our laws if he truly came to move the country forward.
And Comrade Monday Ame from Abuja also writes us, he says, I wish to use this medium to commend the federal government for the landmark approval by the Federal Executive Council of Exit Benefit Scheme, EBS, that grants retiring federal civil servants a gratuity equal to 100% of their total annual emolument. This is indeed a historic and morale-boosting gesture for retiring civil servants who have diligently devoted a minimum of 10 years of service to the nation to retire with dignity, financial security, and with smiles on their faces instead of seeing retirement as a punishment and a leeway to excruciating Federal Executive Council and all who worked assiduously for this landmark approval that was abolished over 22 years ago, following the introduction of the Contributory Pension Scheme, CPS. This is a testament to the fact that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is indeed a welfarist and workers-friendly.
And from Lagos, Ugochukwu Govin says, the panel set up to investigate the former Minister of Science and Innovation, Uche Nnaji, has indicted him for forging his university and NYSC certificates. How did Nnaji pass all the security hurdles? In 1999, a former Speaker of the House of Representatives was also indicted and convicted for 2 years for certificate forgery. This makes a mockery of our security and systemic failings, thanks to the journalist who investigated this matter. He even threatened to take UNN and some papers to court, calling it a witch hunt. Uche Nnaji must be prosecuted by ICPC and the Nigerian government. Who knows how many Uchis and Salisu Buhari that are still in government and leadership positions today. We need an efficient and centralized data system that will erase all this drama. And that's it on the bill segment. Keep sending me your mails to politicalplatform@darkgroup.com.
Thank you so much for the mails. A good balance, the 100% gratuity for basic salary and all that. We commend the government for doing that. Have a nice time and have a nice weekend.
I wanted to